Hey everyone, welcome to this complete explainer on percentages, or as you might know it, proficient. This right here is the absolute bedrock of quantitative aptitude. Today we're going to totally supercharge your mental math. Seriously, if you're gearing up for GATE, SSC, banking, or CAT exams, well, you already know every single second counts. So this explainer is built specifically to hand you those super fast tricks and cheat codes. We're not just going to solve problems today, we're going to literally obliterate them in record time. Grab a mental notepad because we are going to master this whole thing together. Okay, here's our game plan for today. We'll start with 1, the basics of percentages, then 2, the fraction magic, 3, calculating increase and decrease, 4, time-saving shortcuts, 5, successive change tricks, and finally 6, conquering exam questions. Let's dive right in. Section 1, the basics of percentages, understanding per hundred. So, the word percentage, it literally translates to per hundred, like how much out of every 100. Basically, it's just a really handy way of standardizing numbers so we can compare them easily. And the core formula here is wonderfully simple. You just take the part, divide it by the whole, and multiply by 100. That's it. That simple little engine drives literally every single percentage calculation you will ever do. Let's anchor this with a super relatable everyday scenario. Imagine you just took a test, right? And you scored 60 marks out of a total possible 80. How do you find your percentage? Well, you take your part, which is 60, divide it by the whole, which is 80, and multiply by 100. Now, 60 divided by 80 simplifies nicely to 3 over 4. Multiply that by 100, and it beautifully illustrates a solid 75%. It really is that straightforward. Moving on to section 2, the fraction magic. These are your ultimate exam cheat codes. Okay, I want you to basically take a mental screenshot of this. Memorizing these fraction conversions is an absolute necessity. A half is 50%, a quarter is 25%, and 3/4 is 75%. Easy enough, right? But look a little closer at the others. Instantly knowing that 1/5 is 20%, 1/3 is 33.33%, and especially that 1/8 is exactly 12.5%, that is a literal lifesaver in an aptitude exam. When you see 12.5% pop up in a word problem, your brain needs to immediately snap to, oh, that's right. It just bypasses the messy arithmetic entirely. Section 3, calculating increase and decrease. We're visualizing real-world changes here. So imagine you're walking into an electronics store. You see a gadget you really want, and last week it was sitting there at 500 rupees. You go back today, hoping to buy it, but no way. The price jumped up to 650 rupees. Of course, the question the exam is going to ask is what is the exact percentage increase of that price hike? And here is the foolproof way to calculate that. Step 1, find the difference. The new price of 650 minus the old price of 500 gives us 150. Step 2, divide that difference by the old value. Now this is absolutely crucial. Always use the original baseline. So it's 150 divided by the original 500. Step 3, multiply by 100. 150 over 500 reduces to 3 over 10. Multiply by 100, and that gives us a very clean 30% increase. And by the way, the exact same logic works for a decrease too. Like if an 800 rupee item drops to 600, the difference is 200. 200 divided by that old price of 800 is 1/4, which as we know from our magic fraction table means an instant 25% drop. Alright, section 4, time-saving shortcuts. I call this the mind-blown technique. Get ready for this because here is a golden mathematical rule. X% of Y is exactly the same as Y% of X. Just let that sink in for a second. If an exam asks you to calculate 8% of 50, your brain might completely freeze up trying to juggle the decimals. But just flip it around. What is 50% of 8? Well, 50% is just half, and half of 8 is 4. Boom. Just like that, you've turned a tough, time-consuming problem into a 2-second mental calculation. It works absolutely every single time, and it's a huge game changer for GATE, SSC, and CAT exams. Section 5, successive change tricks. Let's look at back-to-back percentage shifts. Okay, what if a value increases by 20% and then immediately increases by another 10%? Your first instinct might be to just add them up, right? Oh, it's a 30% increase. Do not fall into that trap. Because that second increase is being applied to the new, already larger number, we have to use this beautiful little net change formula. A plus B plus A times B over 100. Let's actually plug those numbers in. 20 plus 10 plus 200 over 100. That gives us 30 plus 2, which is exactly a 32% net increase. And this brilliantly illustrates another really tricky scenario, what we call the same change trick. What if a value is bumped up by 20%, then immediately dropped by 20% right after? Most people naturally assume it just goes back to a zero change. Nope, it absolutely does not. It actually results in a net loss every single time. The formula for this specific loss is x squared over 100%. So for a 20% up and 20% down, that's 20 squared, which is 400. Divided by 100, that leaves you with a 4% overall loss. Wild, right? Okay, section 6, conquering exam questions. Time for the boss battle. Here's our first scenario, straight from a gate level paper. A city's population increases by 25% in year 1, but then it decreases by 20% the very next year. So, what's the net change? I challenge you to mentally apply that successive formula we literally just talked about. We're working with a positive 25 and a negative 20. Let's use the formula. Our A is 25 and B is negative 20. So 25 minus 20 is 5. Then we add the product over 100. 25 times negative 20 is negative 500. Negative 500 divided by 100 is negative 5. So we take our initial 5 minus 5, which results perfectly in a net 0. There is absolutely no net change at all to the population. Let's look at another one. Imagine your salary just went up. Awesome. It jumps from 40,000 rupees up to 50,000 rupees. How fast can you calculate your percentage bump using our fraction trick? Well, step 1, the difference is 10,000. Step 2, put that over the old value, which is 40,000. 10,000 over 40,000 simplifies straight down to 1 over 4. And as we learned from our magic fraction table earlier, seeing 1/4 means you instantly know it's a 25% increase. No long division required whatsoever. Alright, let's hit one final direct gate aptitude problem. A number is first increased by 40% and then immediately decreased by 25%. What is the net change? Now this looks kind of messy at first glance, but with our successive formula, it's honestly a piece of cake now. Just plug it in. Our A is positive 40, our B is negative 25, 40 minus 25 is 15. Then for the fraction part, 40 times negative 25 is negative 1,000. Negative 1,000 over 100 is negative 10. So 15 minus 10 gives us a swift and clean 5% net increase in just a few seconds. Absolutely zero long paper calculations required. To quickly summarize this whole masterclass, keep these super fast exam tricks in your back pocket. Remember your fraction conversions. They are seriously your best friends. Always remember that x% of y is exactly the same as y% of x. And finally, drill that successive change formula into your brain. A plus B plus AB over 100. Knowing these like the back of your hand is going to save you huge amounts of time when that exam clock is ticking down. Now, I'm going to leave you with this final mind-bending question to really test your new intuition. If a quantity increases by 25%, what percentage must it decrease by to return to its exact original value? Here's a hint. It is absolutely not 25%. Think about it for a second. If you assume the original value is 100, an increase of 25% takes it up to 125, right? Now, to get back to 100, yes, you have to decrease it by 25, but that decrease of 25 is now being measured against the new whole, which is 125. So 25 over 125 simplifies to 1/5. And what did we learn from our magic table? 1/5 is exactly 20%. So the answer is a 20% decrease. You see how all these concepts interlock? Just keep practicing these concepts and quantitative aptitude won't even stand a chance.